Welcome to Discover Indie Film, podcast where we talk to filmmakers on the festival circuit, and I'm bringing that up because I'm doing something new. I'm mentioning Sherman Oaks Film Festival and Film Invasion Los Angeles. Those are the two festivals that make this podcast happen. And I have Cassie Keet with me. Hey, Cassie.
Hello.
It is so great to see you.
It's very, very good to see you as well.
One of my favorite filmmakers from Sherman Oaks Film Festival last year, December 2025. And I've got to put the glasses back on to introduce you because I got some awards to name. But first of all, you are here because you wrote and directed Abigail Before Beatrice.
Yes, very, very, very proudly.
Fantastic film. Beloved in this household, I will add.
Thank you.
And you took home at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival the Best in Fest Award for Best Feature Film, which that was only the second year that we had that award. We actually had to add that award for,
oh my gosh,
for certain purposes. Well, in order to become Oscar qualifying, we have to have a Best in Fest award.
I had no idea. That's
crazy. Yeah, because they choose an award at a festival.
Right.
And not the whole festival's not Oscar qualifying, just a specific award there. And because we were always the idealists that went by genre,
right?
Like, why would a short drama have to go? Why would a short horror and a short comedy go against short drama?
Right.
The drama's always going to win that award, and so in order to become an Oscar qualifying next year when they consider people again,
right?
We had to add a Best in Fest, and I said, well, if we're going to add Best in Fest for shorts, let's do it for features too.
I mean, I'm glad that you did because I very much benefited from that.
Well, and it's just a fantastic film. But Best Feature Film is not the only one you got. Abigail Before Beatrice also took home the Grand Jury Award for Best Cinematography for your cinematographer, William Tanner Sampson.
The best, absolutely.
And it's funny. Normally, see, that's me. It's alphabetical. Otherwise, I have I did cinematography before the performers. But also, Best Lead Performer for Olivia Taylor Dudley.
Mm-hmm. Very, very well deserved.
And Best Supporting Performer for Shayn Herndon.
Hell yeah, Shane.
And now I'll virtue signal and point out to the entire world that we give awards for Best Performer, not actor and actress. We do a gender neutral performer. So I really love that our jury gave it to Olivia because sometimes some juries are a little biased sometimes.
I think Olivia's performance is so it's so hard to deny. It's so good. So much depth.
And Shane's as well, right?
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I think were they here, they would both credit you and your screenplay because you wrote characters with tons of depth and so much going on internally. Mm. I'm sure it was a challenge to portray that on screen, but they were given material that brought out the best in them.
I mean, when you write for talented people, knowing that they're going to be able to do what you have in your head, it makes writing a lot easier. It really does. Shayn, he was the person I imagined for the role from day one. I wrote that role for him. As we were in an acting class together and we got paired and we were like, oh, what are we going to work on? And I was like, well, I could always write something because I like to just challenge myself like that. It's like an exercise for me. And I was like, ooh, what should we do? What genre? And he was like, I want to do something fucked up. I was like, great, amazing, I love it. And so I just thought about what would be really scary for both of us and created really a story around that, which was, a cult leader and his most loyal acolyte sort of coming back together for the first time in a long time. And everything that's between them and underneath all of that relationship and all the things that have gone unsaid, everything coming to the surface and it just being a literal nightmare. And so, yeah, Shayn was always my Grayson before I cast anybody else. He was always him.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, so before we dive in further, because Lord knows we could just start talking about the film.
For sure.
But I'm going to, well, first of all, I should let everybody know, if you're listening, you can't watch the film yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. When it is released, I'm sure Cassie will fire off an email to me, and I'll make that a link in the show notes. But for now, you just have to listen to us. Up to you if we do. I won't say any spoilers. Up to you if you share a spoiler.
I will try to avoid spoilers, but there's a chance that I will forget and absolutely spoil something.
But I would also argue that you can't spoil a film this good because well, you could. Okay, you're totally right. There's.
I'll do my best. I'll avoid. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
But I will add that you have an early twist in a way that would be given away by the synopsis and or logline.
Right.
But I had the wonderful experience because when I watch stuff as a member of the selection jury, I have a rule. The film has to speak for itself. So I just bring up the screener and hit play. I don't look at who made it. I don't look at the cover letter they write to the festival asking us to consider them. I don't want any bias. The film should speak. I love that. Right? Mm-hmm. And so, honestly, Abigail Before Beatrice looks like it's going to be a really sweet film about this woman and the father and kids, right? That's what I thought I was watching.
Yeah.
And there might be a twist, or maybe it's a lovely film about that.
Yeah, but it's very. I remember while we were filming, you shoot out of order, and so while we were shooting the stuff with Beatrice and. She meets this single father and his daughter, and you do think that the movie is going to be about the relationship between these like two lonely people.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you really do. And we, the night that we were, one of the days where we were filming just like them together and they have really great chemistry and it seems like this budding relationship. And we know what's coming, and like we know what's gonna happen. And everyone like we're all watching the monitor, being just like, "Oh wow, it's so sweet." And then I remember Olivia looking at me and just being like, "This is the movie you could have made."
She's like, "Feel free to write me a rom-com next."
Literally, that was a recurring joke through the entirety of filming. It's a heavy film. And, there are moments of lightness, so we're trying to keep it light on set. But one of the things that we would just repeat, like, during, like, setup changes or just after a really heavy moment, we'd all just be like, we're going to do a comedy next. We're just going to do a comedy next. It'll be fun.
and for people listening, fine, I won't argue the adjective. It's a heavy film, but it's also an honest film. Like there's a truthfulness to it that I think is engaging from start to finish. So I don't want anyone to ever think it's like heavy and bring you down type film. No, like it pulls you in and you're like, oh my God, I want to know what happens next.
Yeah.
Right? It's really a suspense thriller in a lot of ways.
Yes. It's so I guess we might as well just like sort of the it's a story about a woman who reconnects with someone from her past when this like former lover of hers comes to tell her that their cult leader has been released from prison. And we don't know that Beatrice was in a cult until 30 minutes into the film. Because what I wanted was for you to get to know this person without any kind of bias. And which I was so glad that you watched without reading anything. Because you do think it is going to be a different story, but you can feel that something is off.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, you're like something like why, there are people driving past her who are like yelling things at her.
There are those hints, yeah.
Mm-hmm, these little comments and like
one might call it foreshadowing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is one might also call foreshadowing good writing, because people who don't bother doing that aren't as good writers, I think.
Oh, thank you.
Isn't that something we learned in English Lit?
Right. Yes. Yeah. I wanted it to feel very earned, and so that then if people did decide to watch it again, when they go back to the beginning and they're like, oh no, literally, it's all there. And then you find out, like, when it does click in, it is great when you can tell people, like, at a festival, we're just like, oh, what's playing right now? I'll just go and just step in. And then when it clicks in, you'll hear people in the audience go, oh, and you're like, yes, welcome.
But yeah, you at that point you do get to be a Svengali type director, writer.
It's very satisfying to be like, yes,
I can say as someone who I did not get to watch the entire screening, but of course I did have to show. The nice thing was things calmed down in the lobby enough. Because it was opening night and it was the last film of the night. So I was able, and I had to come in and present you with an award. Yeah. So I was able to catch at least the last 30, maybe 40 minutes in the theater, standing in the back because I didn't want to disturb anybody. And your ending is so satisfying the second time. Like I think it's probably more satisfying every time. So that's why I say like it's a little spoiler proof. It's not spoiler proof for the first viewing. Sure. But I promise people it's solid for repeat viewings because I think the honesty and the truthfulness, like when a story holds together, you can watch it over and over.
I have heard from several people that they're like, the first time they watched it, they were like, oh, and then the second time they watched it, they were like, yes, got it. So I honestly at this point, I think I've watched it 500 times. So, it's, but I haven't seen it in a minute. Gosh, a couple months now.
Since like last December, maybe?
Probably, yeah. Probably since Sherman Oaks. Although I might have like gotten drunk while having a panic attack and just threw it on. Do you ever do that? That's an insane
have panic
question.
Attacks? Yes.
Yeah.
But I haven't thought of doing that.
Okay. There are moments when if I'm having a panic attack, which is not like too often, thankfully, but sometimes when that's happening, I need to watch something familiar, and it can help if I'm like, why don't I just turn on something that I made because I know literally every beat of it. But, and I can have it sort of in the background, but then I can look at it and be like, oh, wow, I made that. Like, oh, and it feels, it's kind of like being like, hey, you got this.
Yeah, you should. I certainly hope you get a positive feeling when you watch it, a feeling of accomplishment.
I very much do, considering like our budget and our pre-production, our actual filming time was insanely short. And, what we were able to accomplish with what we had, I'm so grateful to the hard work of everybody. And you watch independent films and sometimes you really just have to be like, yeah, that's a miracle. It's a little miracle that we were able to do what we did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially when you have the insight and In fact, I just used this joke last night, but I would actually repeat the joke for you, which is I think some folks could watch Abigail Before Beatrice and assume that you're a trust fund kid because it looks studio quality, right? From cinematography to acting, everything.
Yeah.
So someone might look at that and go, oh, I get to use the first MF. Like someone might look at it and go, well, some motherfucker had some money here.
Right.
But no, you got it done with talent and connections and I'm sure friends and just a team that cared enough to make it that good.
Yeah. I was very fortunate. My first feature, which we shot for $20,000 in the desert during the pandemic. It's called Scream Therapy. It is my firstborn child. It is a beautiful, insane, disaster. I love her so much. I'm very proud of her. We ended up winning an audience award at Filmland, Arkansas, where I'm from Arkansas. And so I had just submitted into this sort of local film festival and was like, meh, won the audience award. And I had no idea when I excuse me, when I submitted that there was a prize, I was just like, oh, filming in Arkansas. The prize of winning the audience award for the feature film was a $60,000 Panavision camera grant.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the new filmmaker Panavision camera grant. I had no idea. So I get a call from, the head of Filmland Arkansas being like, congratulations, you won the audience award. I'm like, oh, that's amazing. She's like, and the $60,000 Panavision grant. And I literally just fell on the ground. Was not expecting that. And it was really kind of beautiful news because I got that call at the end of 2023. And this is after the strikes, and like the year had just gotten away from me. I had gone like totally broke, even though I had a full-time job. And I had decided like, oh shit, I have to move back to Arkansas because I have no way to sustain myself in Los Angeles. And then I got that call that was like, hey, you got a Panavision grant. And I went, ha, I'm not going back to Arkansas because I'm a failure and I've reached the end of the line. I'm going back to Arkansas to make a movie. And I had already been working on the script for Abigail Before Beatrice, and I knew that I wanted to film it, but it felt very pie in the sky of like, yeah, well, when am I going to be able to take time off of work? When am I going to be, how are we going to get the camera? How are we going to do this? And then the universe was like, well, you're going to lose your job, so you don't have to worry about taking off time. But then you're going to get the Panavision grant, and that is what's going to sort of propel everything forward.
For sure. And Panavision, I'm just going to bother saying this because I used to have a friend who, I mean, they have a lot more than cameras too. Yeah. Right? Like grip packages and dollies and all that. That's, it was more than just cameras, I'm sure. Yeah.
We got two bodies or like two cameras. But I learned a lot. During the process that, they call them bodies, which is just the camera without the lenses in the package and stuff. And so we got two bodies, and one of them was just the camera. And we were shooting out in the countryside in Arkansas. So the idea was, well, if one of the cameras breaks, then we're going to have an extra camera. And so only one of them had like all the bells and whistles, like all the lenses that we needed, and all of that good stuff, and like some dolly stuff. It was great. However, we also knew that we were gonna need two cameras for at least some of the setups. So
right, because you didn't have a lot of time.
Exactly. So, but it's discouraged. They're like, okay, well, you're not supposed to get two cameras, really. And we're like, yes, but this is like a safety measure. Mm-hmm. And they know. They were just kind of like, yes, the safety measure.
but as long as you're below the grant amount, yes, right, you should be able to get whatever equipment suits you.
Yes.
And so good on them for being true to that.
They were fantastic, and we got to do one of our first screenings at Panavision, and that was, I feel like it's not often that you feel like cool when you're working really, really hard and just like the hours and hours and hours. And then you're like, I get to go to Panavision. And I was such a nerd. I was running around because it's also kind of like a museum. There's like, oh my God, the first camera that shot underwater, or like, oh my God, the first camera, period. And it's really fantastic. So shout out to the amazing people at Panavision who, I mean, they were so communicative and positive and supportive, and like stopped by to watch the film, or, reached out to me afterwards to be like, please let us know, everything about, if it's going to be playing in LA, and like really lovely people.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I'm gonna grab a segue from 5 minutes ago when you mentioned
Love a segue.
when you said you because you mentioned Arkansas as your home
Yes.
state. So let's get your story. Here you are. I know you as this talented writer director, and you mentioned an acting class, so I have a feeling there was some acting too. But go ahead, tell us. Like growing up in Arkansas, you probably the movie industry probably wasn't too present in your face. Like, what pulled you? Tell me how did you end up who you are from there?
I've always loved movies. Always from a very young age was just like, oh, this is really cool. And I'm a dramatic person. I was a very dramatic kid. I used to do I would watch, if my parents were watching the news, they would look over and I would be doing an impression of the newscaster, or, I would jump in front of the TV with a fake microphone and be like, reporting live. And I'm just a very dramatic, weird kid. So I started doing local theater when I was 9.
Wow, there you go. And all self-motivated, it sounds like.
Yeah.
You didn't have a stage mom pushing you.
No.
You were pulling them to take you there.
Yeah. No. My dad was in politics in Arkansas, and my mom, I was the youngest of 4 kids. And it was one of those things where I felt I was bad at everything that I tried to do athletically. And I did everything. Soccer, basketball, softball, so many different kinds of dance. And I was bad at all of it. And I loved participating, but it wasn't really until I was like, oh, I can just do theater. I was like, oh, I'm actually good at this. So I was just doing local children's theater from a very young age. I wasn't getting the big roles, but I just loved being part of the community, all of it. I loved hanging out with the costume makers and hang out with the set builders and the props, and just the whole process is so magical to me. And then I started writing when I was 12 years old because of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Nice.
Yes.
Which was actually a great show.
It sounds overwrought to say, but it is true. That show totally saved my life. When you're a nerdy sort of kid feeling like you're on the outs, and then you find the show about this girl who has to save the world, but also is dealing with her regular teenage problems and her amazing friends. And oh my God, I fell so in love. But how I started writing was I found an AOL chat room, which ages me appropriately. Good old AOL chat rooms. And this was in the Wild West of the internet. My sweet parents had no idea what was going on. And, the first time I was allowed to use the internet by myself, I'm pretty sure I Googled Roger Ebert because I loved reading movie reviews, and then murder. It was just I just want to know everything. But I started writing in these chat rooms doing something called role playing.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Where at first I just, I'm 12, I go in there and I love Buffy. And then I saw somebody post and it said Buffy, : walks into the bronze, : hi, Angel. And I was like, what? And then somebody else responded, Angel, : waves at Buffy, : what are you doing here, Buffy? And I messaged that, the person playing Buffy, and was like, what are you doing? She said, it's called role playing. We are writing an original scene. And I said, can I play Willow? And she said, yes. And now I write for film and television. But it all started in an AOL chat room with Comic Sans in MS font, bold Baby
But
Blue.
it was improvisation.
It's all improv.
And it's writing,
Yep.
and it's role, and it's understanding how a character speaks.
Yes.
That's actually fantastic training.
It really it made me fast because you never know what the other person is going to say, and so you have to be ready to respond. And it made me very like pliable. Yeah, because if you don't know what the other person is going to do, you have to be ready to react, and you want to keep the story going. So it's improv. You know, you can't say, no, I don't want to do that. Sometimes somebody would be like, you know, their character pulls out a gun and shoots. And so you can be like, okay, how can I get out of this? Or you can, and half the time I'd be like, cool, my character just got shot. But then I can say where they got shot. And then how does that move the scene forward? Or like, there's ways to move within the story so that you're still accepting what the other person is saying while not stopping the story in its tracks. And so you have to be very quick on your feet. But it taught me how to improvise. It taught me how to write. It taught me how to hold things lightly. And in a way, just be like, sometimes you have to let bad things happen to your characters to serve the story. And once you stop being as precious with certain things, the story gets better. You can you can ask my friends this. I was working on a screenplay, trying to finish one probably 2 weeks ago. And I started crying so hard because I was like, oh my God, I have to kill one of these characters. And I was inconsolable. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then the hilarity of that is like, oh, I just made these people up in my head. And now I'm so connected to them. But the only way for the story to make sense is if something extremely bad happens to one of them. And I picked one, and then it hurt my feelings so much that I realized it was actually going to derail the rest of the story. And so I had to flip it and be like, oh no, now it's this character. But it was the only way for the story to move forward. And I love it. But I did cry while writing. I was like, I can't believe I have to say goodbye to the figment of my imagination that I don't know, writing is so stupid. We make up people, we give them problems, we torture them, and then we feel bad about it.
I'm going to back you up big time and name drop and act like a big shot. But no, I was very lucky to get to go to a live screening of the show Andor with Tony Gilroy, the whole cast. And Tony Gilroy, one of the greatest writers alive, basically.
Agreed. Fully.
Someone asked about the liberalism in the show. Mm-hmm. And he said, I don't think you can write without having empathy. Mm-hmm. Because you are inhabiting the minds of other people and you're thinking and feeling the way they think and feel as you're writing. And he just said the act of screenwriting or any kind of creative writing reinforces empathy. So I'm like totally backing you up that of course you would cry. You have empathy for these characters who you're creating.
I love them. Even I even love my terrible characters.
Yeah.
You know, but going back to Scream Therapy, one of the reasons my first movie, one of the reasons why I started writing it was because it was the pandemic and I was on Twitter too much. And I was just exposed every day to these meninist, misogynist assholes. And I was ready. I was just so fucking angry all the time. It was like, who are these monsters? I hate them. Just these incel douchebags. And so I had so much feminine rage. And I was like, I'm going to make a movie. And it is about 5 women who go into the desert to do scream therapy because all their lives are on fire and they're like, girls trip. And then they get attacked by a cult of incels who have to sacrifice a woman to the moon so that they can lose their virginity.
Right.
And
Very realistic, though.
tonally the opposite of Abigail Before Beatrice.
But there's connective tissue, I think, in
There
storytelling.
is. There is.
Yeah.
In my original thought when I was writing it, I was like, oh, I'm going to have the incels attack and then I'm going to kill them in the most hilarious ways and I'm just going to, like, I hate them. But then as I started writing it, I developed so much empathy for the characters. It's like, wait, these are just misinformed men who have been kept infantile and uneducated by an oppressive system of literally being raised in the desert, being taught that women want to be sacrificed. And suddenly they were like my little boys. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to hurt them.
I could back you up and jump into a conversation about incels. It would be so great. But let's jump back to your 12 and you're learning to write through role play.
Yeah.
And then what comes next? Like in junior high and high school, is it plays? Is it things?
Yeah. I started off in playwriting, and there's been a sort of funny repetition in my past where, like, I have a tendency to write and make stuff as like a response to terrible tragedy. And
in the world or in your life?
Both.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's usually like something will be like, and now we're going to do something. So I wrote my first play. It was a short play. It was like, 15 pages when I was like 16, after my house got destroyed by a hurricane. And so, we were out of school for a month and we'd just been like digging through, the mud and recovering everything. And my poor mom having to like categorize for insurance every single thing we'd lost. And I was just, full of angst and was like, I'm going to write a play. And then that play won like districts in Florida, and I got to go to state with the first thing I had written and received like all like I didn't win state, but I made it to like the top, which is cool. So I was like, oh, that's fun. And then I wrote another play, and then that also made it to state. I was like, maybe this is something I could do. But like I made my first movie because of the pandemic. The world shut down, and it gave me the opportunity and also the passion to like, oh God, I have to do something,
Right.
And
but wait. So the plays were high school-ish.
High school.
Era. And then comes college.
Yeah. And I studied playwriting in college.
Right. So stage, theater, playwriting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought about moving to New York.
For sure.
And then I didn't.
By the way, did you stay in state or did you?
We had moved to Florida when I was 15.
Oh, gotcha. That's why you mentioned Florida.
Yeah. That's the hurricane, because Arkansas is landlocked. It's kind of hard to lose your house, unless there's a tornado, which also happens. But yeah, we'd moved to Florida when I was 15.
Gotcha.
And I got in-state tuition for Florida State University, and then I got a scholarship on top of that from the School of Drama.
Right, and I'll just mention that as someone who runs 2 film festivals, we get a lot of stuff from FSU, and it's good. Yeah. FSU has a good program in the arts.
FSU has a really fantastic program, and I mean, that was honestly one of the reasons why I moved to Los Angeles instead of New York after I graduated, was because I always knew that I wanted eventually to like move into film and television and like writing those kinds of scripts. But I didn't have a community in New York. But a lot of people who I knew from film school, I was in drama school, at FSU theater, but we had become friends with the film school kids because they needed actors for their projects. And I knew a bunch of FSU people who had moved to Los Angeles. That's actually my award-winning cinematographer, William Tanner Sampson.
Fantastic.
We met when we were 18.
Right, at FSU.
At FSU.
So cool. And you were studying playwriting, but you were still acting. You were still
Yes.
performing the whole way.
Yeah. I was a BA, so I was kind of doing everything.
Yeah.
And but it was around this time that I was like, I think I'm better at writing than I am acting. I like acting a lot. Like, please hire me. And I am good at it, but the freedom that writing gives me, I can write whenever I want, and I can write whatever I want, and I'm not, waiting for anybody to give me permission to do it. So that I've always much preferred.
I feel like praising you too for not and you don't. I meet a lot of people who write for themselves wonderfully, but like it seems like you don't do the thing where you write something just for yourself to act in.
No,
like you didn't give yourself a cameo that I can think of in Abigail, or is there one?
I am in it, but I'm barely in it.
You're barely in it.
I'm one of the cult girls.
Oh, you are one of the cult girls.
Yeah, but I don't.
Motherfucker, how'd I miss
But
that?
I don't focus on myself.
Right.
Because it's not about me.
So that campfire.
Yes.
There might be a campfire. No spoilers.
Yes.
But
There's a couple of some campfire
maybe I
scenes.
didn't see that again after meeting you.
But
But if I saw it, I might have missed it.
Well, but you watched it before you knew what I looked like.
Yes.
So that makes sense.
Yeah, I just mean in the theater when I came in with the popcorn
Yeah,
trophy.
yeah.
If I saw that scene, because that scene does come pretty late.
It's funny because people, like, even my agents were like, wait, are you in this movie? I'm like, surprise. But the reason why I put myself in it is because I had spent so much time working on the history of it. And, and it is about a cult, and it's very specific, and it's very kind of intense and emotional. And I was asking my friends, because I did cast all of my friends, hey, let's fly out to Arkansas, and I'm going to put you in 100-degree heat and, just the most uncomfortable conditions of your life. And also you're going to be insanely vulnerable. And I wasn't going to I didn't want to do that and not also be part of it. I don't know. I made it. I should be part of this.
For sure. I thought you were going to joke that, and you saved yourself one more actor to pay, but also, but you deserve. But I still want to praise you for the lack of ego.
I really, really try to divorce ego from what I do, and
bravo,
thank you. Yeah, even Scream Therapy, I wrote a role for myself, and then in pre-production was like, I can't do this. I can't direct. It was my first time directing and be one of the 5 leads. So I hired somebody else, and they did such a better job. Incredible. And when I first wrote Abigail Before Beatrice, because I had originally played Beatrice, in my head I was like, yeah, I can write this for myself and direct it. And then the more work I did, I was like, why am I trying to do this again? It's not meant for me. I want to be on the outside facilitating the story so that it can be told at the best level. And I have confidence in my work, but I am not the best person to tell the story. And that's how I got Olivia. And she really is the best person to tell that story. Olivia is such a force of nature. Holy shit. She can hold so much in silence, and there's so much in her eyes and in just her small gestures and mannerisms that what she's doing in the movie is like stuff that, shit that should be like lauded on a national level.
Is because the subtlety.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, the subtlety and the range.
All of it.
And every scene, there's depth and subtlety and things that you see in her face that, especially on second viewing. But exactly. I know it is.
Her work is just outstanding, and
But you did write that character with all that going on, so Thank God you found an actor who could pull that off.
You find a collaborator.
But Lord knows,
like
I
Olivia.
bet most of the time Olivia gets given girlfriend role, and her job is just to be nice and sweet, and she doesn't get to show any of this ability. So you gave her you gave her a gift wrapped in a beautiful package with a bow, and she opened it, and it was the best thing in the world inside. Like that role was a gift for an actor, I'm sure.
She was. Honestly, we'd been in acting class together, and I've known her off and on through the acting studio that I went to and that I also worked at for a long time. But when I decided okay, I'm not going to play this role, I'm going to sort of send it around to a couple of people. I was such a fan of Olivia's work that I intimidated by her. Even though we were friends, it was just oh God,
Hey, you're friends, but you don't necessarily want to give her a script.
Yeah, exactly. And I sent it to her and was like, "Hey, girl, I know you're really busy, and we can't really pay hardly anything, and I was making excuses in the email that I sent to her, being like, you probably don't even want to read this, you probably don't even want to blah, And then she immediately responded, was like, I think she read it within a day, and responded and was like, I want to do it. And that it was, I was shocked, genuinely.
I mean, I'm not. What do you mean you want? Maybe the shock is she read it, but after she read it,
right?
Obviously she'd want to do it, because that's how often do women get roles this great, right? I mean,
yeah, it's. I think in my head, I just built it up and we're filming in Arkansas and it's going to be hot and we're not going to be able to pay you. And
these are all negatives.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think because I've been acting since I was 9 and I've been writing since I was 12 and I've been out here since I was 23, and I'm so used to having to prepare myself for bad news. You go through so much rejection that I have a tendency to kind of
the people who moved to LA to act to deal with. I know it's it's just the most cruel system possible.
It really
I don't know
is.
how to make it better because so many people want to do it. How do you make it kind?
Sometimes you end up you do what I end up doing, which is being okay, I go in being it would be great if I got this, but I'm not expecting it.
Yeah.
And which is fantastic at times, but also sometimes you're not walking into a situation with the confidence that you should have. So I sent it to Olivia thinking that she, A, wasn't going to read it, B, would read it and wouldn't like it, C, would read it and like it, but not want to work on it because of the pay or the circumstances.
The travel, or that she was booked.
Exactly. So I sent it to her being it's going to be a no. And then when I got a yes almost immediately, it was my brain didn't know what to do. It was what? Oh my God, what? A yes? I'm so not used to yeses that I don't know. It's
in my world, it's almost like the John Hughes movie where the kid asks the person they're most attracted to at school to the prom, and they get a yes, and they're like, "What?"
Yeah, it literally it feels like you're just not used to getting good news, but that's so hilarious that that can't be good. It's a good reminder to sort of be check in with yourself. You can't have this sort of negativity all like I'm a very positive person while still also somehow being like an incredibly negative, morbid person. It's, two things can be true. We contain multitudes. But it was a good reminder of like, let people make their own decisions and don't assume what their decision is going to be about anything. Because I went into it thinking I was going to get a no, and then I got a yes. And the yes, like, I almost didn't know how to react to it.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, God, that means this is happening.
Right.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Now I have to actually make this movie.
So tell me, so you come here around age 23, I picked
Yep.
up on,
Mm-hmm.
and you get involved in acting studios, and you're still writing, and you're forming a community, and you have the FSU community already here, which is great.
Right.
And and then was Scream Therapy? You said that was the first time you directed?
Yeah, and that was when I had already been in LA for a decade.
And by the way, did you kind of just transition to screenwriting, or was it always playwriting, sometimes screenwriting, sometimes like depending on the idea? What venue?
I have written mostly screenplays since I've been out here. I did write one play that I'm very proud of, and I'm like, maybe I should turn it into a screenplay. I don't know. But it was sort of the decision when I realized I wasn't going to go to New York. I did want to focus more on like screenplay writing.
Yeah.
But I never really I didn't learn how to do that. So
you
that
were
was
writing
fun.
Buffy episodes at
Exactly.
12.
Exactly.
So you had a knack.
Listen, if you study anything, you can figure out how to do it. Like I was reading PDF screenplays of movies that I loved. I remember I wanted to write like a one location thriller. Is the script good? No. But it was my first screenplay that I wrote. And I'm still proud of it, even though it is not good. But you have to do it. But in preparation of me doing that, I was reading scripts and watching movies that were similar. So like I sat down and I watched Hard Candy. Have you ever seen that?
Yes.
I love Hard Candy.
Oh my God, that's a tough film.
It's super tough. I can never recommend it, but it's the best.
It's fantastic.
It's fantastic. That script is the tightest. It's essentially a play.
Yes.
And a lot of my writing still has very play-like structures because I love a long scene. I love trapping two people in a room and being like, talk about it. So some of my scenes will be like 15 minutes long of two people in one location. I love that because then the audience feels trapped and you're like, oh God, I'm listening in on a conversation I shouldn't be listening to. I love that. But
that has been drama. That's what drama's been about since the beginning of time.
Exactly.
It's human beings communicating.
Yeah.
And then we sit down, we watch two people make believe a conversation. Yeah.
Yes. And so a lot of my writing does have play-like structures of that.
I mean, I think playwrights in general make fantastic screenwriters. And directors, by the way, because did you ever direct stage as well?
I didn't have the confidence really to do it.
Because you directed your actors so well that's why I asked the question, because I find that the people, both professionally, from a little somebody named Mike Nichols or whatever, to whomever in Elaine May, but people who direct stage, when they direct film and they get the film part right, then the acting is next level because that's someone who really understands performance. And they've directed something with a live audience reacting in time. And there's no better way to learn how to direct than that.
I mean, my first play that I did try to direct, I realized that I did have two characters sitting and having a conversation. And I loved it because I'm a writer's director. I I want to hear what people are saying because that's what's interesting to me. But then that can make, the mise en scène kind of fucking boring. And so I had to bring someone in and be like, what do? I did a play and people are just sitting and talking and nobody's moving. And so he was like, oh shit. And so he added in the movement, and that was very valuable to teach me how to like, okay, how do I, it's still about the words and about the connection, but you can still have that like movement and how you can do that. But then you get to be a filmmaker and it's the camera that is doing the moving for you. And the actors just get to be there with each other. And I love it. I just, I am a writer's director. A lot of my direction is written into the script. I am telling the actors in the scripts like what they're thinking and how they're feeling, and then obviously having the dialogue with the actor if they have those questions, but I'm like, it's all in there. So if they're hopefully, reading between the lines and like doing that kind of work, and I'm lucky enough to work with really talented actors who do the work, they're coming in kind of already knowing what I want. And then it's a conversation from there, but like half of the time the direction is already in the script. Just like, great, do that. And now it's on the day and we're finding it together, and it's the actor's job, and they're really, really good at like kicking you in the stomach because they're finding the stuff that you didn't even know was there emotionally.
Yeah, and you see that depth you put in there was deeper than you knew.
Oh God, yeah.
But you're also working with your crew, and you're getting it. Obviously, the camera is part of your job.
Yes.
And yeah, so you've got the acting handled with your script and working with them.
Yes, yeah. Find talented people who you're friends with. I've been extremely lucky so far.
I have to share one of my favorite lines, which was way back 30 years ago or 40. Shit, how long ago? But when Kevin Smith's first got right after Clerks, he got to interview Spike Lee, and I remember the interview. And Kevin Smith said, I got criticized for casting all my friends in Clerks, but you cast all your friends. And Spike Lee just said, but my friends can act.
That's fair. That is totally fair.
And you happen to have a great core of friends who can act from I don't know if you want to name the acting school in LA,
yeah.
but
I used to work at Anthony Meindl's Actor Workshop, MAW. And I was a student there for a decade, and I worked there for like 7 years. And in that time, you're making all these amazing creative connections and relationships. And you're seeing, like, that's why I wanted to write the role for Shayn, because he's so talented. And I knew, he's not working as much as he should. So many of my talented friends are not working as much as they should, and that's why I like being like, fuck yeah, I'm just gonna write.
And then your friend who you've seen act amazingly for years gets on a TV show and gets to be standing like in line at the ATM, and someone turns back and goes, the time, and they go no.
Right.
And they're like, hey, my friend just got to say no on TV.
Yeah.
But they can do so much. Yeah,
yes.
I know. It's crazy. It's a crazy thing.
Yes, the amount of my friends who like aren't getting the work that they deserve or aren't even getting the auditions that they deserve. It's so crazy to me because they're so talented. And I knew that I had the opportunity to like, this is because it's such a small indie film. I knew that I could get away with casting my friends in like the hopes that like, hey, maybe this will be the thing that gives them a bit of a leg up. And our budget is so small that like once your budget is over 300,000, really, people are like, so how do you get someone like a bigger name to do this? And I even felt that pressure, you know, with this project of like, oh, well, if we get more money, we can get this person, but we won't be able to film until next year. And I was like, or I can hire my friends who I wrote it for, and I can film it in 3 months. And that's what I'm going to do.
And you know it'll happen. Whereas the other model
hypothetical
is
bullshit.
all hypothetical. And by the way, a little thing has happened to the industry in the last 5+ years,
Right.
which is names don't sell films anymore.
Yeah.
So, you know, bending over backwards for, you know, I think Tom Cruise is the last movie star. But you know what I mean? Like you see big names and things that don't go anywhere now. So it's not like that idea of like, oh, raise 1.3 million and give 1 million to actor X.
Basically,
it's not going to work anymore.
Yeah, and I
Actor
remember
X makes $1 million, and then your film
nowhere.
Ends up on streaming where it doesn't get promoted and disappears. So why do it your way?
And I very much had a conversation with someone who I greatly admire. They wanted to come on as a producer because they loved the script, and they were like, I can get you Amanda Seyfried, and we can open up Sundance, and I can get you $3 million, but it's not, you know, we're not going to be able to film until next year. And all of that sounds amazing, right? Like $3 million, Amanda Seyfried, Sundance, and wow, that's all fantastic. But none of that is guaranteed. And so what I heard was, you're probably not going to be able to direct this anymore.
Right.
They are going to probably change the ending. They are not going to let you hire
They pre-warned you that the ending might change. Or it was hinted.
It was like, you know, and then if some things need to change, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, they might not let me keep my ending. But it was, you know, it was like, I'm not going to work. They're not going to let me work with my friends. They're not going to let me have final edit. I'm probably not going to be the director. Yeah,
you're going to end up on the set rewriting things on the fly
right.
that you don't respect and don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just kind of looked at that like, for what? You know, all of this, it's just imaginary. Like, none of this is real. You're promising me things that are not real.
Yeah, unless
you are Amanda Seyfried,
right? This is me being unreasonable, but unless they just go, you know what, we'll give you $500,000 for this script if you walk away.
Right.
That is almost a better deal. Like, okay, fine, you go try to make your $3 to $5 million film. Mm-hmm. Give me so much money that I actually don't have to worry for 3 to 5 years.
Right.
And then I'll walk away. But I bet the scenario you were offered was tempting, but but it was
all
lack of guarantees. Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah, and so all of these things that were kind of offered to me, and I had to just very graciously be like, I am going to have to say no, and make this the way that I want, and make it now, because I would rather have a movie in the can that I made the way I wanted than a hypothetical movie that might not get made for 7 years or ever.
And when it does get made, it turns into the story we joked about of the former cult member meeting a nice single dad and being happy forever.
Yeah.
It could have become that.
No joke. I remember I had like a general meeting with someone, and they asked like, oh, what are you working on? And I was like, oh, well, I've been working on this screenplay about this girl who used to be in a cult. And, you know, we kind of find out that like she still feels like she's kind of a true believer. And the person goes, oh, is that a 30-minute comedy? And I was like, no, it's a drama thriller, not a TV show. It's a movie. And immediately she was like, that would be such a funny, and I felt the air just leave my lungs. I was like, oh my God, she she's going to try and develop this as like a 30-minute comedy TV show. And I would rather die. I would rather die. Like, that's not mine. But, you know, things move so quickly. And, you know, would that have been great? Sure. Give me $500,000. But I don't know. I love my weird baby. And it works because of the cast, and it works because of the actors that I was able to get and who gave their time and energy and their talent.
And it works because of your crew, because the film looks fantastic.
Crew. Yes.
And it works because of you. I mean, it works for all these reasons.
Yeah.
And, you know, the marketplace is a motherfucker, and I wish I could say, like, but it can find a home. It really can. Because
we are talking to some people right now. We've had a couple of offers that are just not quite appetizing enough. But I do believe in the next few months we are going to find a home for it, because those conversations are happening. So, you know, watch this space. Hopefully you'll be able to watch or stream, or who knows, maybe go to a theater. That's probably less likely. But, you know, if the world does me a solid, who knows? You will be able to watch this in the year of our Lord 2026.
And there is a lack of quality films coming out. Like we all know this. So
yes.
So there's I admit to being that hopeful optimist that, like, when you put good stuff out there, it eventually gets seen and people say, hey, I actually saw something good. If you go on to blah blah blah, you know, maybe there's a commercial every 20 minutes, maybe there's not. Lord knows AVOD is taking over, but for sure. But people will start watching it because it's good.
Yeah.
And they start, I could tell you stories that, things that actually picked up steam, because we actually live in a world of algorithms that notice when people watch something to the end. And that makes a big difference on rankings and shit. So I'm not going to give up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give up. My pom-poms are going to stay in the air for Abigail Before Beatrice.
Thank you.
Besides the fact that what I said to you before we even started recording, which is you also have the kick-ass title that's super memorable.
Thank you.
Let's be honest, that's a little rare, to be honest.
I personally, in the past, I have been terrible at titles. I used to just name whatever play I was writing in college and post college on what songs I was listening to, or like I have a play that I'm very proud of called Dinner. That's a terrible fucking title, but I called it that because the first scene takes place at dinner. It has nothing to do with dinner, but I didn't know what else to call it, so it was like, it's called Dinner. Terrible. Abigail Before Beatrice is a title that I actually like, because I came up with the title before I came up with half of what the story was. I just liked how it sounded.
It does have a good sound.
Yeah,
it's lyrical.
Yeah, and it means so much. Like, I knew, even before I knew all the nuances of the story I wanted to tell, I knew that the emphasis on the names was going to be very important, and like why these names and how, you know, they're like old-timey names. And so we've been brought out of where we are and put into a different place and time in a way. And it's like kind of disarming and a little, you know, people hear it and they're like, what is that? I'm like, exactly.
Welcome. And you see it, and
then you find out what it means, and it's
well, I mean, like, you see the title, and it's gotta inspire people to watch it a little more than, you know, a generic title of, like, you know, I don't know. I won't throw shade at other titles, but like
sad,
you know,
cool girl.
I always throw shade at the same title, which is if I told you how many films have been submitted to the festivals in the last 10 years that had the title Ride Share.
Really?
If I had $1 for each one, I could take you out for lunch because I would have like $37. And that's just ride shares that didn't make it. I'm
no,
sure
that's funny because I'm thinking of all of the different shorts that I've seen called rideshare, and yeah, they do kind of like form into one big bulbous
one generic
rideshare.
Generally, whatever. I won't go into it. But needless to say, I haven't seen Abigail Before Beatrice as a title before. And, it tells you a lot. It just tells you a lot. It tells you that the story is about some women. It tells you that there's
some sort of
hierarchy.
hierarchy.
Ooh, look at us.
Ooh.
We use big words.
Look at Jinx. We owe each other codes.
That's right. Sorry, you're too far away to poke. But yeah. But anyway, so I think it's, well, hopefully, I'm in your corner. I'm rooting.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, I don't know, 2026, we never know what's going to happen, obviously. That's why we keep creating. I think if you stop being creative, then, like, what's the point? And so who knows what's going to happen next, but I just have to keep moving forward with, like, that openness to keep creating and knowing that I don't know what's going to happen, but I know something will happen. Because nothing never happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah, things will happen, things will change, and you will have to react and recalibrate. And that's what, being an artist is, and just a person. And I love that. So, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that something will happen.
And I'm gonna curse again because I'm ineloquent a lot of the time, but just fuck the word. Honestly, I think your worst case scenario might be self-releasing, but in this era, it's legit. And I know of a lot of self-releases that have worked, and you've got talented people involved who can help get word out. So
yeah,
your worst case scenario still has an upside.
Exactly.
So there's no bad scenario here.
Really, this isn't a story that's just going to sit on a hard drive. If we self-release, then, well, I guess that's just a way to pay back.
I know a lot of folks
first.
who have. I know a couple filmmakers now from running 2 film festivals for 11 years that make like a feature every other year, and they finally shifted into self-releasing, and they're like, you know what? 1/3 the people have seen it, and I've made 5 times as much. You know what I mean? So not that you shouldn't shoot for the stars. And
no. I've also been burned on other distributors. So for young, hardy, but easily beguiled filmmakers out there, sometimes self-releasing is better than a shitty distributor.
And there's tools, there's aggregators and this and that that help you get it around the world. And,
And do your research.
Do your research.
Know
who you're getting into bed with, into business with.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've definitely, I obviously can't say, I'm not trying to get in trouble myself here,
I'm not going to name names.
Yes.
But there have been people who have hovered around our film festivals.
For sure.
And then a filmmaker will come up to me and go, oh, I got this guy's card at your festival. I go, yes, there's a reason we don't have that person on our distributors panel.
Right. Yes, beware.
Because, in general, the only person who ever makes a penny.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
And that's why, anyway.
Yeah, you just be careful.
But you see, you're wise and you know what's going on.
It takes me a minute to learn a lesson, but once I've learned it, I've learned it for life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. And the awesome thing is you can look at this film and know that you're good at this. And that's gonna help you moving forward, right?
Yeah,
you got,
and it's opened up a lot of doors for me.
I bet.
It's been really fantastic just being like, hey, I made this, and you should maybe take me more seriously for other things. And it actually works. People are like, oh shit, yeah, you did make that, and that looks really good.
Yeah, and you've had a kick-ass festival run, and you.
Yeah,
You're
we
about to
won
play in Beverly Hills.
a certain
Wait, or is that
Sherman
coming?
Oaks.
That's
yes,
coming up? Yeah.
that's coming in April. So, yeah, that's wild. I'm like, oh,
So
God.
I highly recommend anyone. Oh shit! This podcast is probably coming out towards the end of April.
Oh, I love that. No.
Okay.
So retroactively, if you're listening, this means that we've already been at Beverly Hills Film Festival.
Well, but if you give me the date, I might fuck around with the schedule because
I don't know what day we're actually screening. But it's sometime between like the 12th and the 19th.
Well, needless to say, if and when you have that date, the Sherman Oaks Film Festival would be happy to share on its social media. Hey,
Thank you.
our Best in Fest winner, you got a chance to see it again
Yeah, I will let you know.
in the Beverly Hills Film Festival, which I don't believe takes place in Beverly Hills anymore. I think
No,
they're at
it's at the TLC
Yeah.
Chinese.
everyone. It's just so funny.
It's just so much
I mean,
easier.
look, the Sherman Oaks Film Festival is in Glendale now because there's a great venue there.
Right.
That's state of the art.
Yeah, you got to go where I mean, Sundance is leaving Sundance because they need a more sustainable place that's easier to get to, that can support the numbers, and that has better facilities. You have to evolve, you have to adapt.
Yeah.
So
there we go.
sense.
So make sure to let me know when it's showing because I would love to. People should see it.
I would love, if you're listening to this right now, I would love for you to watch it.
Yeah, so come watch it in Beverly Hills and or anywhere else. But
Yeah.
but I don't know how many more festivals there'll be after that because I know you've had a nice run.
Yes, we are. Thankfully, I know that makes me sound like ridiculous, but we are thankfully getting close to the end. It's such a great experience, and it's so exhausting.
Exhausting and expensive.
It's so expensive, but also now it's like the least creative part of all of it. And so I'm itching to what am I going to do next? I don't know.
So that would be my next question. So right now you're not sure what comes next, but you'll find it.
Yes.
Maybe you'll look at another friend and go, that friend should really play, a grocery store clerk who gets,
who witnesses a
who does
murder.
something really funny. I know it's gonna be dark, huh?
No, I mean maybe.
Maybe.
I'm very lucky to have a really fantastic team. I'm with IAG and Industry Entertainment, and so I've been writing more scripts, and they're getting me all these amazing meetings, and I ended up on the 2024 blacklist, which is really cool. And so I've got scripts out there circulating, trying to sell, but what I'm trying to figure out is which one I'm going to direct next.
Right, which one you grab to yourself and pull it away from the marketplace.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. So I've got 3 that I have to pick between, and I don't know. I love them all. But yeah, it's keep an eye on this space. Maybe by the time you listen to this, I will have made a choice, or maybe the choice will finally be made for me.
Sometimes things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, awesome. Excellent. and I will also, I'll wrap up the podcast by sounding like a podcaster person and saying that there'll be a clickable link in the show notes, the Abigail Before Beatrice Instagram, which I'm sure if people follow that, then they'll definitely know if and when it's screening around them and if and when it's being released. I admit I was always that person. I know that there's 17 million people with this thought, which is, man, if there were just 10, 15 theaters in the 10, 15 biggest cities in the country, just all agreed to show the same indie,
Yeah.
in the same 2 weekends in a row.
Right.
Like then you could get a little national press. Maybe get somebody like Olivia on a talk show or something.
Yes.
And like, hey, it's showing in the, because I think once you cover like the 10 biggest cities in America,
Right.
based on population, where people live.
Yeah, the
that's like half the
markets.
country. Like half the country could have the shot at watching it.
Which is so crazy.
Right?
Yeah. And that's like one of the like soft offers that we have right now. That's like, oh, well, if you get this kind of release in 20 markets, then we can support that on this like network. Like, it's this, if this, then that.
Yeah,
if this, if
isn't
that, then
and
this.
Then, yeah, just sit down, do another crowdfunding.
Yeah, like Jiminy
so you can
Christmas.
four-wall your 20 city release. It's funny they said 20, huh? Interesting, but
Yeah, I saw that in the notes and was just like, 20? I thought it was like 10, 15. You added another 5? Well, hey, we love a challenge, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
yeah, the Best in Fest winner 2 years before you, they actually did a theatrical self sort of thing and
that's
went city
awesome.
to city to support it, and it was through a whole big thing.
Yeah. I mean, I look at like what Hundreds of Beavers has done and how they literally just went on the road with this movie, and it's now been all over the United States and like internationally because they bring it. And it's sold out screenings because they're generating all of their own like advertising, and it's really amazing, like independent cinema. And so like, who knows? Yeah. If somebody wants to become my patron and give me some sort of Airstream and I'll just travel around the country, movie theater to movie theater, man. I'd love that.
A fucking RV with that you can project a movie
Yes.
on the side.
Oh my God. Yes. A million times yes.
By the way, you inspired me to be a little complainer on the outro here, which is if I had $1 for every time that we were going to screen a really great horror film at the festivals that then got picked up by a distributor, because horror, of course, gets picked up.
Right.
And then they say, pull it from all the festivals. And you're like,
no.
oh, yeah, because why would you want like 5,200 people in 5 or 6 different cities telling all their friends, oh, that film that just came out on whatever streamer
Right.
is really good. Go see it. Like, why would you pull it from Why would you pull it away from eyeballs
Who knows?
right when you want word of mouth? Like,
Yeah, a lot of horror festivals that I got into, their schedules had to be so malleable because of that fact of like,
so funny.
they just pulled it 2 days before we're supposed to do the screening. It's already in all the programs. Like, okay, I've got this one on deck. It's crazy the amount of work that any freaking festival coordinators do. I don't know how you do all of it. Are there 27 hours in the day for you?
Basically, yeah. When
Good
the
Lord.
festival's coming, it's
It's just your life.
yeah. I mean, I'm insane and anal enough to almost, after 11 years, like I kind of like most of the details are handled like well in advance so that I don't lose sleep. But, you can't control.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's yeah. But things, we're a pretty well-oiled machine.
Yeah, it definitely seems so. And now I've got my Poppy on my
You
desk.
got a Poppy.
I wake up and I'm like, good morning, Poppy. It's lovely.
Yeah.
I love it.
The Poppy. I love the Poppy.
Yeah, the Poppy's fantastic.
We should, anyway.
Right, yes. We were doing the outro.
I'll bother to say that what we're talking about is the Best in Fest winners at Sherman Oaks Film Festival and Film Invasion Los Angeles both get a trophy, which is golden, a movie popcorn where the popcorn is gold.
That's right.
And it says you won Best in Fest, and that's an award we gift. We gift that trophy.
Yes,
'Cause,
and it very proudly lives in perfect view of all visitors to my studio apartment.
Awesome. and my wonderful my fantasy is that someday someone will be on a set making an indie feature or something, and they'll turn to a friend and go, I'm really hoping we can win a Poppy with this one.
Like, oh man, we want the Poppy.
Get the Poppy. All right. Well, that I just mentioned both festivals, so that's okay. So here's the outro, which is thank you, Cassie, for being here.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. This is the Discover Indie Film Podcast. If you want to learn more about it, the website's discoverindiefilm.com. On social media, it's always at DIFwins. I quit social media a year and a half ago, so my wonderful podcast producer, Karina, will respond to your questions if you write to us at DIFwins.
Thank you, Karina.
And when I say all social media, everything but X, because Twitter is not, we deleted it, the account. So that's discoverindiefilm.com. If you go to discoverindiefilm.org, that is the nonprofit that runs Sherman Oaks Film Festival and Film Invasion Los Angeles. And both festivals are in the top 100 best reviewed list worldwide out of 14,000 festivals.
Oh wow, yeah.
So we're kind of proud of ourselves.
Hell yeah.
And I always call Sherman Oaks and Film Invasion LA sister festivals. And in 2026, their cousin was born in Lima, Peru. We launched Film Invasion Lima in January, and it was so great.
That's
I didn't get to go,
amazing.
but I couldn't afford to fly down there. But maybe next year, and we're moving it to Valentine's weekend next year, which is also President's Day. So the second ever Film Invasion Lima will be the weekend of Valentine's Day,
Very
2027.
romantic.
Yeah, wonderful place to spend time. And I just, we get a lot of nice emails from people saying your festival is like the best one I've been to, like the best experience I've had.
So much fun.
And some people who attended Lima said, this was my best experience at a festival. I'm like, oh, yay. So we managed to keep it going.
Amazing.
And there's a wonderful, thank you, Chevy and Pilar. You two are awesome. There's wonderful festival runners down there. I'm just an advisor from afar trying to just help give them 11 years of knowledge so that it kicks ass. And it did. So
good.
Yay.
Congratulations.
I was so happy when that happened. All right. I think that's all I have to say.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for letting me ramble. I know I talk in very giant circles, so.
No, I think everyone is. We're going to get lots of messages. That was a great conversation.
Oh,
that was
fantastic.
a great conversation. It's so cool. But the thing is, I hope I got you to share enough of your personal story.
Oh, yeah,
Because you always
for
talk
sure.
about the work. You turn to the work and you talk. You're so focused on your work.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I still wanted to know, wait, no, tell me where you went to school.
Right. Yes. No, the personal details. It's
You
good
know what
to
I mean? It's all good.
bring it back.
That's
Bring
my
it back.
job. That's my job. All right. Thank you, Cassie.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for listening.